told him at 6 because they all get done pretty fast. And executive session is usually in black, so I'm sure I can get you. Yeah, yeah, and they'll get you. There's a room in the back where the board sits if you order a brief presentation. Hopefully it'll be fast.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. It is 6:01, and I call this special called board meeting to order. Dr. Salazar, Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, will everyone please rise for the pledge?
If everyone can remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Mr. Castillo, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Ruben Trevino,
Present.
Mr. Donald Henderson, unable to make it tonight. I am here, Martin Castillo, Mr. Jesus Amaya,
Present.
Ms. Sandra Garcia. Ms. Sandra Garcia? Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Ms. Leticia Quintero,
Present.
Mr. Kevin Montes,
Present.
Dr. Gonzalo Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. We go on to Roman numeral 5, District Presentation Number 1, Spring Diagnostic Assessment Results and Interventions. Dr. Salazar.
Mr. Trevino, members of the board, let me start by thanking you for coming in for a third time this month. We really appreciate and enjoy spending time with you. At our last meeting, we had, after our last meeting, we had a board training on assessment and accountability. And today we're back with spring benchmark or diagnostic assessments. This year we tested a little earlier than we did last year. Last year we felt we didn't give ourselves enough time for interventions. And so today we present district assessment reports. I'm calling on our Chief Academic Officer, Mrs. Valerie Laundrie, to do a brief presentation, and then we're going to share some interventions. Everyone went right to work the moment we got our results. Mrs. Laundrie.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Trevino, members of the board, Dr. Salazar. I bring before you our district assessment report for spring 24. This one's going to be a little different than our typical reports that we've brought. Typically, we are able to compare a spring DA in one year to the spring DA of the next year. But as you might recall, last year in 2023, we moved to the new STAR test, STAR 2.0. So our DAs last spring, which were administered in late March, early April, were our best guess attempts at what STAR 2.0 was going to look like. We did not have a release test from the state that we were able to use, as typically in our spring diagnostic assessments, or affectionately known as DAs, we typically use the STAR release test. So this year, we had a STAR release test. So we took that test from last year, and so we are going to compare our diagnostic assessment results from March of 2024 to STAR 23 results, which was actually a summative. So we're comparing a formative assessment that was given in March, but it was last year's summative assessment that's given in May. So obviously, those results are going to be a little higher. It had about 8 more weeks of instruction than what we have here. But as we say, it is a diagnostic assessment. It's going to let us know what work we have to do until we get ready for testing in 4 to 6 weeks. So this is in a typical format. Like I said, the first column is how we performed on approaches for the spring DA. The comparison, the approaches of 23, is that summative STAR results from last year. And then we're looking at the gain losses in that area. As we met earlier this year, we told you we're going to start judging our performance based on meets and masters. So next year when you see this chart, it will be compared to meets and masters, because we'll have that data and we'll be using that to make those comparisons. So just to set up this slide and all the future slides, if you go to the very bottom, you're looking at district outcomes. You can see each of our 9 elementaries on the left-hand side, and then the district across the bottom. So what we're saying in March, the second week of March, or actually the first week of March, our students taking last year's 3rd grade STAR assessment were able to score a 78% approach. 78% of our students hit the approaches level. In May of last year, 82% of our 3rd graders were able to hit that approaches. And so we are 4 points behind where we were at the end of the year last year. So good news, we've got a lot, we know what we need to do in order to exceed last year's results. And so we're going to be working, and we're going to talk a little bit about those interventions in just a minute. So in 4th grade, you can see the scores there. The green represents campuses that are already ahead of last year's summative assessment at the end of the year, and those campuses that still have work to do. And overall, as a district, we're scoring right now at 81% approaches, and last year we were at 83% approaches. In 5th grade reading, you can see the same, 82, and now last year we were at 86% at the end of the year. This is a little bit smaller. I think you have copies of this in your packet. This is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade reading on this chart. You can see 6th grade is typically an area where we struggle. In middle school, sometimes on our diagnostic assessments, we don't always see the full potential of students. Sometimes those students do not take that test. It's not a test that can be used for a grade. They know it's a practice exam, so they don't always take it as seriously. So we typically see our STAR results go up. So when we're comparing it to that, we see some numbers like that, but we're working directly with these campuses specifically on what their numbers are. As you can see, we have some campuses where we have some specific concerns that we're addressing. Stop me if there's any questions or if I go too fast. In 3rd grade math, you can see, again, this is what the scores are looking like right now when compared to last year's STAR test. In 4th grade, in 5th grade, And then we have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math all pretty close, about 3 points, 2 to 3 points off where we were at the end of the year last year. So working really hard to make sure that we see gains in these areas and to close those gaps there. But those campuses are all pretty tightly aligned right now, so we're working on overall interventions in those grade levels. In 5th grade science, we know the science kicks into high gear as we get closer to this assessment, so we expect some big results here. In the area of math and science, because we tested so early this year, both of those content areas, their scope and sequence and pacing, they still have a lot of content left to teach. We don't get to finish all of our content in March before we test. So we know there are concepts in both science and math that have not been taught at these grade levels yet, because our pacing guide goes all the way up to about 2 weeks before the STAR assessment, when they start to spiral back all those concepts. And when we were identifying hotspots through here, a lot of those concepts that have yet to be taught are our hotspots right now, especially in the area of science. In 8th grade, you can see the gaps there in science that we're working on in 8th grade science. And then in social studies, we brought to you earlier this year, this is an area of concerted effort in this area because these scores were significantly lower than what we have experienced in the past. And you can see that a lot of work has been done there, that 2 out of the 3 campuses are already exceeding what they hit at the end of the year last year on the STAR test. So we expect that students continue to move forward in that area. As soon as we got those results, we did go to, at the end of last year, we waited as long as possible to take the diagnostic assessments because we knew STAR 2.0. There was a lot of new item types to be taught, and so we were giving students every opportunity, but in the end, in hindsight, we realized that there wasn't enough time for interventions there. So we went to the principals in the spring and began talking to them about moving the test up significantly in the spring in order to give a full month to month and a half of intervention based on those scores. So the curriculum is being currently spiraled back in order to hit these hot spots, as well as deliberate and intentional interventions done at each of these campuses in order to fill these gaps. Starting today, our 5th grade teachers were in professional learning. Our 3rd and 4th grade teachers will be in over the next couple of days as our content strategists begin presenting best teaching practices on the hotspots. And so I'm going to ask Dr. Stumbaugh to join me and talk a little bit about what we've been doing for professional learning for our staff.
Good evening. So as Ms. Laundrie mentioned, as soon as those hotspots were identified, our curriculum strategist went to work, and they are responsible for a large part of the content that's been delivered. We actually started Friday, so we started with resource teachers on Friday. We're focusing these professional learning sessions for elementary right now. It's easy for our content strategists to get to all 3 middle schools in a quick manner. So in a 2-week time span, they can spend quite a bit of time at each of our middle schools. But having 9 elementaries, that makes that really challenging for one math content strategist to get to all 9 elementary schools quickly and efficiently. So we made the decision to bring the teachers to us. So last Friday, we started with our resource teachers in the area of math. As Ms. Laundrie said, today we started with 5th grade, and we follow that with 4th and 3rd grade over the next 2 days. They're focusing on hotspots in reading and in math, best teaching practices aligned to those hotspots, and just where's our biggest bang for our buck? Where is it that we need to make sure that we're focusing and intentionally over the next 4 to 6 weeks to make sure that we see gains for all of our students. In addition to that, more specifically and more intentionally, we have also met with all of our instructional coaches at the elementary level. We've looked at data very specifically at the teacher and student level with those instructional coaches to make sure that they feel confident working side by side with our teachers who still have the most work to do with their students. They're looking at the goals that they've been working on with those teachers over the course of the year and seeing, is there something that we need to change? Is there something that we need to do differently? Is there a new area of focus that we need to work on to make sure that our students are getting the best instruction that they can in the next 4 to 6 weeks? to tell you a little bit more about intentional work that we're doing with our principals, Mr. McDonough is going to talk about the work that he and Ms. Amato have been doing over the past couple of days with our principals.
Thank you, Ms. Stumbaugh. Once we received the data, Ada and I then set up individual data review sessions with every single principal. So today we finished. We've been, over the past 3 days, just working our way through individual meetings with each principal. As a principal, and Ada and I remember that, when you first get DA results, sometimes it can be overwhelming, and there's some nerves that come in of, what are you going to do to be able to put together a plan. So what we basically did is Office of Academics helped us as far as giving us the data, and then we even broke it down even further. So when we went with each principal, we were able to go to them with a folder that we were able to give them, where we broke it down by grade level, subject, and then down to individual teacher. Okay, so each individual teacher, and then we broke it down to where were strengths, areas where the campus was doing well, and then areas of concern. And then we were able to break it down even more, for example, for individual teachers. What we really were focusing on too with the principals, we're identifying what we call bubble students. And when we talk about bubble students, it's those students that in that assessment didn't pass, but they're very close, maybe 3 or 4 questions away. So very important to know your bubble students. So we were able to show principals in certain grade levels and subjects where you may have a teacher that maybe right now is at the 70% mark as far as for students passing. If they can get those bubble students, you can see the difference. It's the difference between 70% to 90%. It can make a big difference. And especially when you start looking at it, as Ms. Laundrie said, when we know there's certain concepts that have not even been covered. So it gives them a little bit more of confidence as far as, okay, this is doable. So we went through that and we're able to break it down and then take those bubble students and make sure the key thing is matching up bubble students and students that are not passing, and then matching the hot spots that they were talking about. So those are those key concepts that students didn't grasp, and making sure that your tutorials are then set up intentionally. So I get my bubble kids and I'm hitting those hot spots, those concepts that I know can push them over the top. So then we talked about, okay, how are we going to do this? And there's certain subject areas and grade levels where we're working more on pullouts. We're pulling kids during the day from an elective in order to tutor them. Some it's an after-school tutorial, some Saturday academy. So it's kind of a cross section as far as how we're attacking those areas of concern in those three different tutorial methods. And so we basically went through and made a plan with each principal where we put together a plan for the areas of concern by teacher, grade level, subject, down to that, in order to get them, again, shooting to try to get to that A, the A at the end of the day. But I do feel I'm glad that we moved it earlier. Yes, it's going to make maybe your results aren't going to look as great on your DA because there are areas that they haven't covered all the material, but we're able to make a plan and have enough time to remediate at this point. So that's where we are. Now, when we get down to that level, as far as what we're looking at individual teachers and students, another key point it gets to is when you're breaking down your subpopulations. And that's what Ms. Amato is going to discuss right now as far as how we looked at individual subpopulations too.
Thank you, Mr. McDonough. So as we worked on, like he said, as we worked on a plan, we specifically looked at our special populations. These are our emergent bilinguals or bilingual ESL students, our special ed students as well. So we know that in most cases, these students are counted multiple times in the accountability system, especially on our Domain 1 and in Domain 3. So our conversations focused on individual students, like Mr. McDonough said, and on the high leverage focus learning targets, like they call the hotspots. Where are the hotspots? What are we doing? Who is the intervention? What intervention are we providing? a lot of prescriptive tutorials to ensure that our special pops were being served in smaller groups. They're part of the general ed or all tutorials, but then we go and narrow it down more specific to having small groups with our special pops. I must say that our teachers, our administrators, they're all hands in. They're looking for interventions and being very innovative, right? Innovative to who's providing the intervention or who's assisting the intervention. It's all hands on deck. In some cases, we have librarians offering some tutorial, or we have, in the middle schools, we might have someone who is a content area who has a conference period out. We're buying that conference period out so that they can work with our special populations students. So like I said, they're being very creative, and we thank them for the work that they're doing. I know in some cases, like, trust us, we're gonna do this, we got this. So it's just for us just to offer that support that they need, and making sure that whatever they need, we're there to support them.
So anytime our students experience success, we invite them here. We ask them to bring their medals, bring your hardware, and we celebrate them publicly. And on all of that is a testament to these incredible principals that we have. We have some amazing, amazing principals and the very passionate, hardworking teachers. We also have this amazing team that I get to work with, and I wanted you to see not just what accountability, but accountability in action. We hold each other accountable, and when the results are less than what we expect, everybody springs into action. And it's not just the responsibility of the principals, but everybody at the District Service Center contributes to the work that's being done on the campuses. And we're all there to show our support for our principals, and I wanted you to see and understand how much is going into providing the interventions and the prescriptive instruction that this work of getting kids to master skills that are tested on this state assessment, what it will require. So we'll stop here and see if anyone has any questions or comments.
Any questions or comments from the board? Ms. Garcia.
I just have a comment. I'm glad you said that, because we've seen each of you all in action as principals, so you know what that's like. So it's good to see you supporting our principals, because that's the weight of the whole campus on that one person's shoulders. So you can't do it alone, and it's nice to see that we're not the kind of district that expects them to do it alone. So thank you.
I also have a comment just piggybacking on that. When I first saw the scores, I was thinking, wow, double digits, and that's a negative in front of it. Okay, so I'm putting myself in the principal's position and so I can see the analysis, I can see the interventions and the analytical skills that you all applied to these this problem that we're having and created these interventions. So thank you for giving us that opportunity, because I really was able to see where you get the information, you disseminate it, you analyze it, and then you go to work. Amazing, amazing job. And so I'm really confident with the interventions that you all have set in motion. I'm looking forward to the results, and I think you guys have done an amazing job. So even so much so, if I were a principal, now knowing what I know, I would feel confident in knowing that, okay, in this class with this teacher and this student, this is where we need to go to. So as a professional, if my administration came to me with that type of data, I feel that I could. And it would not be as overwhelming as when you look at big picture and just look at it and be like, okay, we need to do better. Okay, everybody, let's do better. No, this is not, this is very, very good work, and I really did see it. So congratulations to administration and your team, sir. And I feel very confident that we will be able to improve in these areas.
No pressure, huh?
No. You guys have already done the work and stuff, and you've set it in motion. Now it's just time to, get that implemented. I believe we'll be fine. Anything else? Okay. Moving along, public comment. No one signed up for public comment. So we're going to go to action items. We have 10 action items on tonight's agenda. Yes, Mr. Amaya.
Well, I think what we have is we just have the agenda as a PDF. If you know, yeah, if you know your login and you can get on the internet, you can get into Board Book Premium. I don't know if you can, everybody use I'll give you all my password.
JP, if you're here.
Mr. Amaya.
And if you know how to embarrass people, you just did.
So, no. I just changed my password this weekend. That's why I remember it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, number 1, discuss and take action to adopt a resolution for the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Program Resolution. Do I have a motion? Anybody with a motion? Mr. Amaya?
We're good. Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
thank you. I move that we adopt a resolution of the office of, for the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Program Resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Amaya. Do I have a second? Mr. Montes, any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor of adopting a resolution for the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Program Resolution, please raise your hand. Action item passes unanimously. Number 2, discuss and take action to approve purchase of student and teacher furniture, Phase 2. Do I have a motion? Ms. Quintero.
Yes, I motion to approve purchase of student and teacher furniture, Phase 2.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Oh, never
Mr.
mind.
Castillo. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor of approving purchase of student and teacher furniture, Phase 2, please raise your hand. Action item passes unanimously. Number 3, discuss and take action to approve the purchase of furniture for the Professional Learning Center, Phase 1. Do I have a motion? Mr. Montes.
Motion to approve, sir.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Ms. Garcia. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor of approving the purchase of furniture for the Professional Learning Center Phase 1, please raise your hand. Action item passes unanimously. Number 4, discuss and take action to approve the purchase of a vehicle for the Career and for the Career and Technical Education Department. Do I have a motion? Ms. Quintero.
Yes, I motion to approve the purchase of a vehicle for the Career and Technical Education Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Montes. Any discussion? No, there being no discussion. All those in favor of approving the purchase of a vehicle for the Career and Technical Education Department, please raise your hand. Action item passes unanimously. Number 5, discuss and take action to approve the purchase of materials for the CTE Agricultural Barn from Tips Coop Vendor Morgan Livestock Equipment Sales, Inc. Yeah. Oh, Co-op. Did I say Coop? Sorry. It is a co-op, yes. Are we getting off the rails here? No? All right. Okay, maybe. All right. Do I have a motion? Ms. Garcia.
I move to approve, sir.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Castillo, any discussion? All those in favor, there being no discussion, all those in favor to approve the purchase of materials for the CTE agricultural barn from Tips Co-op vendor Morgan Livestock Equipment Sales, Inc., please raise your hand. Action item unanimously. Number 6, discuss and take action to approve a new TEA-approved innovative course for newcomers, multilingual acculturation studies for newcomers for the 2024-2025 school year. Do I have a motion? Mr. Montes.
Motion to approve, sir.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Ms. Quintero. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor of approving a new TEA-approved innovative course for newcomers, multilingual acculturation studies for newcomers for the 2024-2025 school year, please raise your hand. Action item passes unanimously. There's a little tongue twister there. Number 7, discuss and take action to approve the purchase of materials for the CTE welding program. Do I have a motion? Ms. Quintero.
Yes, I motion to approve the purchase of materials for the CTE welding program.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Ms. Garcia. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor of approving the purchase of materials for the CTE welding program, please raise your hand. Thank you. Number 8, discuss and take action to approve a resolution nominating Dr. Gonzalo Salazar for Superintendent of the Year. Do I have a motion? I can motion too. Okay, we'll say Mr. Montes. Do I have a second? Ms. Quintero. Any discussion? Mr. Amaya.
A comment.
Yes, sir.
I've been lucky enough for 2 years to sit on the committee, TASB committee, that interviews and selects the superintendent of the year. And he's got his head down because he doesn't want to hear it, and that's fine. A little lack of respect, but that's fine. None of them in the 2 years, and I'm talking about 38, hold a candle to you. I hope other people see it the same way.
Well said, sir. I agree. Where you put forth, I want to thank Mr. McDonough for conspiring with me and helping me with getting the application done. Amazing staff, sir, that you've put together, and they always are up to the task. When I ask them, I know that they've got other things to do, and I asked for his help, and he, not a blink of an eye. So really, kudos to you, your administrative staff. We really appreciate you all for everything that you do. Mr. Castillo.
Sir, piggyback off you, this is long overdue, I've always considered you as top-notch in the state of Texas. You've represented this district very well, and you put us on the map, along with your team out here. So you well deserved.
Thank you, sir. Okay, with that said, do I have a motion? Oh, do I already have a motion? Do I have a second? All right. Hey, there you go. And we've had some discussion. All right. All those in favor of approving a resolution nominating Dr. Gonzalo Salazar for Superintendent of the Year, please raise your hand. It's unanimous, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Number 9, discuss and take action to approve the 2024-2025 work calendar for the 260 employees.
260 day, I'm sorry, that's supposed to be.
Okay. Let me read that again. Discuss and take action to approve the 2024-2025 work calendar for the 260-day employees. Do I have a motion? Ms. Quintero.
Yes, I motion to approve the 2024-2025 work calendar for the 260-day employees.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Castillo. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor of approving the 2024-2025 work calendar for the 260-day employees, please raise your hand. Action item passes unanimously. Number 10, discuss and take action to approve superintendent's personnel recommendations for the following positions for the 2024-2025 school year. A, teacher. B, media specialists. C, diagnostician. Do I have a motion? Mr. Montes.
Motion to approve, sir.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Ms. Quintero. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor of approving superintendent's personnel recommendations for the following positions for the 2024-2025 school year. A, teacher. B, media specialist. C, diagnostician. Please raise your hand. Action item passes unanimously. Are they here? If you can please stand and be recognized. Thank you for joining the team. Very good, very good. Next, closed session, discuss all items, personnel no. We are going to be discussing real estate matters in closed session. It is 6:34. We will now be going into closed session. It is 7:10 and we are back from closed session. We discussed real estate matters. We are back in open session. We are not taking any action. We've already approved superintendent recommendations. Dr. Salazar, announcements. Yeah, it is 7:11. I have on my computer. 7:10. Let's do 7:10.
7:10.
Martin's got 7:10.
Yes, sir. As far as announcements, this Friday, we'll suspend operations for, in honor of Good Friday. And next Monday, there's no board meeting. We're taking that as Easter Monday, so that is in our calendar as a no class day and office is closed. And on Monday, April 15th is when we're going to have our regular school board meeting at 6 p.m. Track and field this Thursday at Leo Aguilar. We're hosting a sub-varsity satellite meet. And baseball this Friday. If you enjoy baseball, we're hosting Harlingen here at home. So on Friday at 6:30. They did. Yeah, it's Good Friday, so that's okay. I'll check. Thank you. I'll check and I'll send out a message.
Thank you, sir. It is 7:12 and I adjourn this meeting.